All right, so today we're going to talk about why men are little boys in grown bodies. What we are seeing in men today is not some mysterious personality flaw, but the long-term result of a collapse in masculine development and initiation. Across most traditional cultures, boys were never expected to just grow into men naturally. Manhood was forged through structure, discipline, discomfort, responsibility, and controlled hardship. Boys were deliberately separated from constant comfort and coddling, put through physical labor, endurance, fasting, cold exposure, strict obedience to elders, and responsibility for real tasks that mattered to the group. This wasn't abuse, it was nervous system training. It taught a boy that discomfort does not equal danger, that emotions do not dictate behavior, and that responsibility comes before preference. In many cultures, fathers and male elders enforced this process together, so the mother could remain a source of nurture rather than becoming the sole disciplinarian. Today, that structure is gone. Many fathers are unhealed themselves, are not available, or in prison, emotionally avoidant, or are eager to be liked rather than respected, so they undermine discipline instead of reinforcing it. When a boy learns that he can run to his father to be saved anytime he doesn't want to do something, cleaning a room, completing a task, tolerating frustration, he's being trained unconsciously to avoid pressure and outsource accountability. He learns that authority is negotiable, that his mother's voice can be bypassed, and that inconvenience equals injustice. That same boy grows into the man who says he wants honesty, depth, and connection until reality asks something of him. Then he runs. Western culture has confused discipline with abuse and comfort with safety, even though most of the world understands that structure, limits, and delayed gratification are what actually create emotional stability. Withholding privileges until responsibilities are met, expecting tasks to be completed before reward, or allowing a child to experience temporary discomfort is not cruelty. It is how resilience is built. Ironically, Western society tolerates hitting children far more than it tolerates nonviolent discipline like fasting from food, pleasures, labor, or privileges, even though the latter is far healthier. Without initiation, men grow up with fragile nervous systems, low frustration tolerance, and no internal authority. So when they encounter women who bring complexity, transition, or even mild inconvenience, they don't rise, they retreat. They call it protecting their peace, but it is avoidance. In older cultures, a man proved himself through pressure before he ever touched a woman. Today, women are left to perform the initiations culture removed through boundaries, pacing, refusal, and friction. That's why modern men appear weak, impatient, and convenience-driven. They were never forged, never challenged, never held, and never taught how to stay when things aren't easy. And until that changes, women will continue to feel like they're dealing with boys in grown bodies who collapse at the first sign of responsibility. Across human history, virtually every stable civilization understood one core truth. Boys do not become men automatically. They must be shaped through discipline, discomfort, and responsibility under masculine guidance. Among the Maasai of East Africa, boys underwent the Emuratata initiation, which included circumcision without flinching, extended periods of hardship, and strict obedience to elders. Emotional expression during pain was forbidden, not to traumatize them, but to train emotional regulation and courage. In ancient Sparta, boys entered the Agage system around age 7, where they were removed from maternal comfort, subjected to cold, hunger, physical training, and communal discipline, learning endurance, hierarchy, and accountability long before adulthood. Among many Native American tribes, such as the Lakota and Apache, the boys participated in vision quests, isolation in nature, fasting, sleep deprivation, and fear confrontation, supervised by elders who interpreted the experience and formally recognized the boys' transition to manhood. In traditional Japanese culture, boys were trained under strict martial and household discipline influenced by Bushido, where endurance, obedience, humility, and self-control were non-negotiable. In ancient China, Confucian and Daoist systems emphasized rigid respect for authority, early labor, physical training, and mastery over impulse, while Shaolin monks subjected boys to intense physical hardship, repetitive labor, pain tolerance, and strict codes of conduct, famously depicted in stories like Karate Kid, which are not exaggerations but softened versions of real methods used to forge discipline and resilience. What all these cultures had in common was male-led discipline that removed boys from constant emotional regulation by women and instead trained them to regulate themselves. Fathers and male elders enforced structure, consequences, and delayed gratification, allowing mothers to remain sources of nurture rather than becoming the sole authority figure. So she did not have to turn masculine. She did not have to turn into a bitch, right? When a boy resisted responsibility, he was not rescued, he was held in expectation. Contrast this with modern Western child rearing, where fathers are often absent, emotionally passive, or eager to be liked, and where mothers are forced to carry both nurturing and disciplinary roles alone. This imbalance overstimulates the maternal nervous system and produces two extremes, either excess coddling to avoid conflict or reactive discipline that borders on emotional volatility. So she becomes overstimulated. In both cases, a child does not internalize authority. He learns to avoid it. When a boy is allowed to escape tasks, consequences, or discomfort by appealing to a softer or guilt-driven parent, he learns that responsibility is negotiable and that inconvenience equals injustice. That boy becomes a man who avoids accountability, collapses under pressure, and mistakes emotional discomfort for incompatibility in relationships. Psychologically, this developmental failure produces exactly what we are seeing now: high rates of anxiety disorders, depression, avoidance patterns, porn addiction, emotional dysregulation, low frustration tolerance, and identity confusion in men. Modern psychology confirms that resilience is built through stress inoculation, controlled exposure to challenge, followed by mastery. When boys are denied this process, their nervous systems remain fragile. They seek constant comfort, validation, and escape. And when confronted with real adult demands, intimacy, leadership, commitment, or a woman in transition, they retreat. Many men explain this by saying, "I didn't have a father figure." But the deeper truth is that they did not receive consent.